Once upon a time, in the serene land of India, there lived a man named Siddhartha Gautama. He was born into a life of luxury and privilege, destined to be a great king. However, destiny had other plans for him. This is the story of how Siddhartha Gautama, the future Buddha, learned the power of not reacting and how he harnessed it to control his emotions. Siddhartha was shielded from the harsh realities of life by his doting father, King Suddhodana. He grew up in a palace filled with opulence, surrounded by servants catering to his every whim. Yet, beneath the facade of luxury, Siddhartha felt a deep sense of unease. He was curious about the world beyond the palace walls, a world where suffering and hardship were a daily reality. One fateful day, Siddhartha ventured beyond the palace gates, and his sheltered existence collided with the stark truths of life. He encountered an old man, bent and feeble, struggling to walk. Siddhartha was perplexed. He had never seen anyone age before. He inquired about the man's condition and was told that this was the inevitable fate of all living beings. Siddhartha's heart sank as he realized that even he would one day grow old, feeble, and frail. As Siddhartha continued his journey, he came across a person suffering from a severe illness. The pain and anguish on the person's face were agonizing to witness. Siddhartha couldn't comprehend why such suffering existed in the world. He questioned the nature of sickness and learned that it, too, was an intrinsic part of human existence. Determined to find answers to the profound questions that plagued his mind, Siddhartha left the palace in the dead of night, leaving behind his life of luxury and his newborn son. He sought out spiritual teachers and engaged in rigorous ascetic practices in search of enlightenment. However, despite his dedication, he found no solace in these extreme practices. One day, weakened by years of asceticism, Siddhartha sat beneath a Bodhi tree, contemplating the nature of suffering. It was there that he made a life-changing discovery. He realized that the root of suffering lay in attachment and aversion, in the human tendency to react to life's ups and downs with extreme emotions. Siddhartha understood that by learning to control these reactions, one could transcend suffering and find true inner peace. Siddhartha's realization led to his enlightenment. He became the Buddha, which means the enlightened one. He dedicated the rest of his life to teaching others the path to liberation from suffering. The core of his teachings was the power of not reacting. The Buddha explained that when we react to pleasant experiences with attachment and desire, we set ourselves up for suffering when those experiences inevitably change or fade away. Similarly, when we react to unpleasant experiences with aversion and anger, we multiply our suffering. To illustrate this principle, the Buddha shared a parable about a man who was shot with an arrow. Instead of immediately seeking medical help, the man demanded answers about the arrow's origin, the type of wood used, and the archer's identity. By the time he received the answers, it was too late, and he had succumbed to his injuries. The moral of the story was clear. When faced with suffering, it is essential to address the immediate issue rather than getting lost in unnecessary reactions and inquiries. The Buddha's teachings emphasized mindfulness and meditation as tools to cultivate emotional control. He taught his followers to observe their thoughts and emotions without judgment, to become aware of the impermanence of all things, and to let go of attachments. Through these practices, individuals could free themselves from the cycle of suffering and attain inner peace. The power of not reacting became the cornerstone of the Buddha's teachings, known as the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. These teachings provided a roadmap for living a life free from unnecessary emotional turmoil. They guided people to develop wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline, leading them toward enlightenment. As the Buddha's teachings spread far and wide, countless individuals began to apply the power of not reacting to their lives. They found that by controlling their emotional responses to external events, they could achieve a profound sense of inner calm and equanimity. They realized that happiness and peace were not dependent on external circumstances, but were qualities that could be cultivated from within. In our fast-paced and often tumultuous world, the Buddha's message remains as relevant as ever. The power of not reacting allows us to navigate life's challenges with grace and resilience. It reminds us that we have the capacity to choose how we respond to the world, that we can free ourselves from the chains of emotional reactivity, and that true happiness is an inner state of being. So, as you go about your daily life, remember the story of Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, and the power of not reacting. Practice mindfulness, cultivate emotional control, and strive for inner peace. In doing so, you can follow in the footsteps of one of history's greatest spiritual teachers and find your own path to enlightenment and lasting happiness.